later on in the show, I'll be having an insight on how these boys have been doing, and obviously touch on every other sport, every other aspect of sports later on in the show. But we'll be talking about publishing, newspaper business, and indeed entertainment business, zeroing in on the $1 billion industry called Nollywood. Is it actually a $1 billion industry? We'll hear from someone who should know, who obviously will know about the industry. And so I'm actually really looking forward to this edition of this show. It's the Way Show. And please, if you're watching, remember to subscribe to this channel, and obviously to click on your notification, so when we load new videos on this channel, you will be able to sit back and watch it. But we come live to you every Sunday, 8 p.m. UK time, and we come live to you, and you're able to join us via live comments and ask questions, which obviously will be thrown to our guest today and whenever we are online. Again, my name is Wole, and it's the Way Show. Thanks for subscribing. Thank you for the loyal viewers that's been watching us since we started. Last week we had two brilliant guests on the show with us. One all the way from America, Chris Nemeth, and the other one all the way from Nigeria, Tayo. So Prince Mike Abiola, the publisher of African Voice magazine, as newspaper, is live with us today. Thank you, Uncle Mike, for joining us. How are you today? If you can hear me, Uncle Mike, we can't hear you. If you can hear me, we can't. Can you hear us? Okay, so we're just working on our audio so that we can hear what Uncle Mike has to say, Prince Mike Abiola, to everyone. But I've known him for a while now, so I feel comfortable calling him Uncle Mike. He's going to be joining us again because we just had a little bit of technical itch there with the audio. So that's going to be sorted out by my colleague and the technical expert of the show, Yomi. Yomi will be sorting that out pretty soon. And then we're going to be back live with Prince Mike Abiola. So he would be joining us pretty soon, right after this technical issues have been sorted. So like I said, today we're going to be talking about a few things. One of those things would be publishing, how easy it is to publish in the UK. How easy or how difficult it is to publish in the UK. And obviously talking about entertainment, like I said, zeroing in on the $1 billion industry called Nollywood. And that's with Prince Mike Abiola, who should know, who obviously is in the business. Prince Abiola, thank you for joining us. Can you hear us now? Oh, still can hear you. Just bear with us while we sort out the technical difficulties we're facing this evening. As technology, we're just getting ourselves conversant with it. It's a live show, so things like this do happen on a live show sometimes. So just hang in there. We will be chatting with Prince Abiola pretty soon once this audio has been sorted out. So it's been some week, this past week, especially with all these protests going on, and counter protests and all going on in the United States, not just in the United States, but in the UK. And it's been sad to see, especially what went on yesterday in some parts of the UK. It's been really very sad to see. But I suppose it's one of the things we just have to, live with, and hopefully there'll be a solution to having people like this on the streets of UK, desecrating memorials to a PC, a police person, and fighting with the police. It's was sore to see, but we do hope things like this will be brushed aside and brushed away from our streets, and we keep our streets safe, especially in the UK. So it's been a week to forget, really, when you talk about that. And well, I mean, life goes on, and we can only just, like I said last week, just believe that we are one race. There's no black, there's no white. We're just one people. We're just one race. We're just one humanity. So let's love our neighbors ourselves. We should be our brother's keepers. We should be there to help each other, whatever way we can. It's a beautiful world. Let's keep it beautiful and safe for ourselves, not just for ourselves, but for our generations to come. Because at the end of the day, so at some point, we were going to leave this world and leave it for our children and generations to come. And what would you want them to say about us? We should always think about that. Think about that. Think before you act. Think before you go about messing about. Think before you go about and wishing, other people bad. Because it's, like I said, it's a wonderful world. We should keep it wonderful, and hopefully things get better. It's the way show. We're still waiting to get the technical glitch we had, especially with the audio, fixed. As we have Prince Mike Abiola, the publisher of African Voice newspaper, and also the convener, I dare say, and founder of the African Films Award, otherwise known as the Afro Nollywood Awards. I don't know if it's actually called by another name, but I'm used to calling it Afro Nollywood Awards. So when Prince Mike Abiola comes on the show, he will be able to give us more insight on the program that holds every year in London, England. So while still trying to fix that up, I just want to say hello to a regular follower of the show, Sandra. Thank you, Sandra. Another episode, she said. Hello again. Thank you for joining us. You are been very loyal to this show. We thank you for your support. Thank you for tuning in every Sunday at this time to watch this show. On this show, something also interesting will be coming up. Also very soon, there will be a giveaway. Not just a giveaway, there'll be giveaways. To our loyal viewers that have been following us since the beginning of this show. So, if you know, tell your people, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell another friend that there will be some giveaways coming up on this show very soon, and very interesting prizes to come. But just keep watching. You might be that lucky somebody to go home with something small from us, just to say thank you for following us, for watching us, for being very loyal to this show, and obviously, it's our way of saying, thank you for sticking with us for over a month now, and because you've been with us for over a month, you've been on the way with the Way Show. We are saying thank you in our own little way. So watch out. That's going to be coming very soon. Just watch this space, watch this show, and just a way of saying thank you. So that, like I said, it's going to be giveaways to all that have been watching us. Aside from that, we also would like to go back to what happened last weekend when we had Chris Nemeth, a curler based in America, that joined this show and spoke to us about curling and about some wonderful things he's been doing to help the sport in Nigeria, and as its own way of contributing back to his country, Nigeria. where his dad and grandmother were born. Um, Aside Chris, we also have Tayo of Taya Kashi, interior decorations, that came on the show. Very wonderful lady. We call her the female carpenter. She's into furniture and interior decorations. She was with us on the show and spoke to us at length about our journey from being a university graduate to becoming first an apprentice carpenter, and then establishing our own outfit. And she's really doing well for herself. She came on the show and obviously had quite a lot of following. People wanting to know how she's coping, or how she coped being a woman in a man's world. So it was quite very interesting watch for last week. And if you still want to catch up with that, watch it. And you can just all you need to just click on the Way Show Weekly on YouTube Live. Sorry, on YouTube, and you can watch the repeat edition, which is on our channel of that edition where we had the lady carpenter and the curler, his name Chris Nimeth, from all the way from America, talking to us about not just the sport, but what he's doing to contribute to helping the youths in Nigeria. So we're still waiting for the technical problem we had with the audio and with Mr. Mike Prince Mike Abiola, who is going to be joining us soon, as soon as this technical problem is sorted out. On the show today, the Way Show. So, like I said, we have two guests. Hello, Prince Mike Abiola, can you hear me?
I can hear you now, loud and clear.
Yeah, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, sorry about the technical glitch we had that time.
Well, that's understandable.
Yeah. So, I don't even know where to start from because I'm so excited you joining us in the show today. But let me start by asking you this very question. I know quite a lot of people watching today will be wanting you to answer. African Voice. What made you go into that venture? One, and the second part of that question would be starting a newspaper in a foreign land, where you have obviously got established newspaper companies, but you establish your one and it's become a household name in UK. How easy or how difficult was that?
Thank you, Wole. That's an interesting question. To start with, the events of the past few days, the past few weeks in the United States of America goes to underline and highlight the need for us to have a strong voice in whichever community we are. Those of us who found the United Kingdom as home for us now, at a point realized that most of the news emanating from the mainstream were news that were negative about the Africans living in the United Kingdom, particularly the Nigerians. They don't celebrate the achievements of Nigerians or the Africans. They only highlight the few bad eggs among us. When you have dozens and thousands of those who are contributing positively to the economy, to the society, their contributions go uncelebrated. So we thought at that point, on the back of a publication we were publishing then, which was on the film industry, realized that our people need beyond entertainment, beyond something to remind us of the fact that we don't have black faces on television, and we then have to resort to watching ourselves on home video. And so we had a magazine which was giving an update on the film industry in Nigeria at that time. But it got to a point when we then realized that we needed a strong voice for our community to be able to agitate, to be able to comment on breaking news, to be able to add our voice. So, most importantly, celebrate the contributions of British Africans in the society that we found ourselves. So that gave birth to the newspaper. It came out as a weekly. It has remained a weekly in the last 19 years. The first edition was in 2001. And September 2001, we rolled the first edition out. And ever since, it has remained in the market, representing the African corridor in the mainstream news desk.
Of fact,
I hope that answers your question.
it does actually. It's gone a long way to answer the question. Just like you mentioned, in the past few weeks now, we've seen quite a lot of how will I say rebirth of black consciousness, black way, due to the unfortunate incident that happened in the United States. Now, people are beginning to see that Black life matters at the end of the day. But you were a pioneer of this movement in this country way back by virtue of you establishing this newspaper to celebrate not just Nigerians but Africans, and even Black British. So how would you say things have really changed from that time when you started and now?
Change in terms of awareness, we have seen our contributions beginning to change the minds of those in authority. They now realize that um, it's not just representation that we need. We are bringing a lot to the table.
Mm.
We are contributing beyond what even those who can rightfully say they are British, who are born here. Those who migrated here, who brought the brain drain, are beginning to enrich the economy beyond what was imagined. So it's not economic migrants anymore, but uh, builders of the British economy. So it's a situation where the diversity that we brought in, the color that we added to it, has begun to show that yes, these are people who have actually come to enhance the economy rather than take away from the economy. So what we've been able to achieve in the last 19 years with the newspaper is such that the mainstream, the government, the British government, once they need to communicate with um, every diverse community,
Mm.
they know that the African voice is there, is able to communicate government messages. And so if you look at what we've been able to achieve in terms of representation, we feel fulfilled that yes, the struggles of the past few years of bringing the newspaper to stability is beginning to pay off. Those days you hear of underachievement within the diverse ethnic communities, but today we're able to celebrate. For instance, when the NHS turned 70 last year, we found out that over 5,000 professionals in the healthcare are actually from the African and predominantly 70% from the Nigerian origin. They are Nigerian descent working in the NHS, doctors, nurses, pharmacists, dentists, and you cannot ignore such contributions. So those are things we've been able to bring to fore. And when this COVID-19 came, we found quite a number of those who are on the forefront, those who are on the shop floor, those who are uh, the main professionals working on the front line are actually British citizens from the ethnic minority mainly. And so, which was one of the reasons why we found out that the community was adversely affected with COVID-19. We witnessed so many victims who are healthcare professionals and those who are also performing frontline services. So if we do not have a voice, if we do not have the African voice, uh, void would have been created. We would have not been able to at least highlight the contributions of these people, celebrate their achievement, and of course mourn those who have passed on sadly due to the pandemic.
So, another question in relation to that, I probably want to ask you is, I want to ask you about issues relating to longevity of a newspaper. You've been publishing these newspapers close to 20 years now. I want to look back to the last 20 years and obviously want to zoom back to Africa and indeed Nigeria under the microscope now. So in the last 20 years, I probably will have known about tens of newspapers in Nigeria that have existed, died, permit me to use that word, reinvent itself at some point, died again, and there seemed to be no consistency at all when it comes to publishing, especially for those papers that are not mainstream in the Nigerian media. Why would you say this is so, and what would you say has been the trade secret for for African voice? I mean, you kept it this long, and I know it's going to stay much longer than this.
Let me first of all appreciate those who have made efforts in Nigeria, those who have tried. We ventured into Nigeria way back in, I think it's 1991, 92, to start the Nigerian Videos magazine. It's not an easy terrain. The ease of doing business in Nigeria cannot be compared to that existing in the UK. Those who have tried to start one publication or the other must be commended. The atmosphere, the environment, it's very hostile, I must say. We operated the Nigerian Videos for, I think, up to 91 to 94, and then we had to relocate the base back to the UK. We left the office running for a year, and then we carried on here with the publication. Before we then realized that beyond the entertainment for our people, we need something more serious. We need something to integrate the Africans more into the mainstream. We're not just here, we're now making here a home. So we're bringing our own contributions to the British environment. And thank God, London it's a melting pot of culture. Our contributions was well received. So at that point, if you now want to compare what has sustained or what you call the secret of the African voice remaining in the market, first, it's the grace of God that we've enjoyed. It's the fact that quite a number of those within the community at that point who are coming out realized the need for us to have a strong voice, a voice that would bring Black perspective to whatever breaking news it is. We cannot afford to be quiet. With the Black Lives Matter, for instance, it became very obvious to everyone that silence means consent, or also aiding and abetting. So you've got to add your voice to tell the people that without justice, there can be no going forward. So a publication like African Voice became a child of necessity from day one. We were fortunate that we have that foresight to saw that niche in the market, and we were lucky that those who at that time wanted representation of the ethnic minority saw us there, that we were available and we were able to live up to the expectation. So from day one, the government communication department saw the use or the need for the African voice. At that point, we had the Caribbean voice, we had the Asian voice that came about the same time as the African voice. And it became very clear that if you need to reach these hard to reach communities, no doubt there are thousands who are there who are working on the radar, and the mainstream that the government will ordinarily be using will not be penetrating or reaching those hard to reach communities. So you needed to use uh, vehicles and organs like the African voice. And so we became a tool that was readily available for patronage. And
Mm.
we enjoyed that patronage. And that's what is really missing in publications in Nigeria. There are those few ones who are patronized by the government and by big spenders in the corporate world. There are those ones who have to depend on the readers, and getting major advertisers from the corporate world becomes a challenging thing. So survival then becomes thinner. And it's not as if the services they are providing it's not essential, but it's such that it became very difficult. I mean, when we came out in Nigeria with the Nigerian Videos magazine, we got the likes of Coca-Cola backing us. We got the likes of milk, peak milk backing us. But these were temporary backing. They saw the uniqueness of the product we were bringing into the market. They believed in the film industry then, before it became known as Nollywood. Uh, at, as at 1991, when the likes of films like Living in Bondage was just a few ones on the market, we came out with a 42-page colorful A4 magazine. And we went to town, going to AIT radio and all that, doing quite a number of publicity to bring it to the fore. It was accepted. It was in the market, but we had challenges distributing. We had the vendors not bringing returns. We could not depend on returns of sales. We were solely relying on advertising. The agencies are not playing straight. The advertising agencies will give you an advert, and 12 months down the line, you're still waiting for payment.
Payment.
There are no regulations. People, you are there, beg and call, you keep begging them. Even where Coca-Cola said, look, we love this concept. We want our advertising in it, but we cannot be placing our advert directly because we have an advertising agency. So they did one or two with us directly, directed us to the agency. We went to the agency booked, and the payment was not forthcoming. The vendors were not coming back with returns. So you had challenges left, right, and center. And so 3 years down the line, we decided we're relocating back to where the ease of doing business will aid any entrepreneurship. So we returned to the UK. We did that up until 2001, then realized that the needs of our people had gone beyond just giving them entertainment. We need to have equal representation. Lives of everyone matters, but essentially we've got to celebrate the contributions of British Africans, which was the core of what sustained us up till today.
Thank you for that. And so I want to take you now. You've taken us kind of like change direction, and we want to take you to the correct me if I'm wrong now. Afro Nollywood or African Film Awards.
African Film Awards. African Film Awards. Yes.
That's some. I think I've been to these awards now about 3 times with my family, and I say to you, every time I come there, I thoroughly enjoy. the last one held in London. I was there with my family, and we're already looking forward to the next one, to be honest. How do you do it? That's my simple question to you. How do you do? How do you get these people into the UK to start with? Um, it's for me. I think it's probably one of the hardest thing you could probably do. You know, getting people into the UK is hard enough on its own, but having them to come into the UK, get this award, go back home, it's amazing. So how do you do it?
I think it's plainly a matter of one ensuring that whatever you want to do, you've got to be truthful. You've got to be honest, and you've got to be focused.
Yes.
Once you know that you will be judged by whatever you do tomorrow, and what you put your name to, it's going to outlive you. You will do things in such a way that you will be above board. We set out from, I think, 1996, a few years after publishing the monthly magazine, Nigerian Videos. We then said to ourselves, we found a need for us to celebrate these talents. And it's not just celebrating the talents in the film industry, also exposing them to where the technology is, bringing them to see studios in the UK, bringing them to collaborate with people who are steps higher than what we have been able to achieve. So, as at 1996, we said to ourselves, we're going to bring the best of these actors to celebrate them in the UK. As at 1996, it's a difficult thing for you to even want to bring your family members, inviting your family members to get visa at the British Embassy to bring them here, and the cost of airfare, the cost of maintaining them here. And at that time, majority of our Nigerian actors, of course, cannot even, they don't even own a passport, not to talk of being able to afford the visa fee. So asking them to be celebrated in the UK means that you have got to arrange the flight ticket, you've got to arrange the accommodation, you've got to sort of pay them something or provide welfare for their 3 or 4 days or 1 week stay in the UK. So these are challenges that we felt once we are able to identify what will be the difficulties, then we'll be able to find solutions to them.
Mm.
But from the beginning, we are able to identify the fact that if we want to celebrate uh, achievements within this industry, and we want the industry to grow on the back of this celebration, it means we've got to have the corporate world buying into it,
Mm.
seeing it as a vehicle for corporate communication, seeing it as a vehicle for marketing. And so, if we're able to present this proposal to the corporate world, backing of the corporate world, then 70 or 50% of our work will be done. At that stage, we are looking for how do we get air tickets? If we're not going to be paying cash for tickets, how do we sell this to the airline for them to understand that they will get some publicity at the back of this? How do we accommodate those people when they come to the UK? How do we uh, pay them something to maintain themselves for the few days? How do we get those things that will ease their movement from the airports to wherever we're accommodating them? So we identified those things and we're able to provide solutions to each of those things as we were doing the planning. But because we knew if we do not package the first edition very well, then
Mm.
it probably will be the last one. So we were able to dot all the I's and cross all the T's, and we were able to say to ourselves, yes, this will fly. So
Mm.
we got some airlines supporting in the early days, knowing that yes, this would be a publicity vehicle for them. We were able to say to ourselves, if the fans in the UK, if they value these actors and actresses, they will come and join them, celebrate them, pay for their dinner. I mean, you'll pay for your dinner, your drinks, coming to identify with an actor that you support. So we decided we're going to sell tickets. The cost of the tickets were not that cheap. In fact, as at 1996, actually, we were doing the ticket for £25. Over the years, these tickets went to £100 per head, and we were able to attract the caliber of people who could appreciate uh, reasons why they'll come to an environment where you have stars, where you have celebrities of that caliber, and we're able to attract filmmakers that wanted collaboration with these actors. And all is history now. We're able to do it for 23, 24. We're
Wow.
looking forward to 24th edition in 2020.
Wow.
So it's working our way through, knowing the challenges that will be there, and knowing that if we are able to maintain that credibility from year one, the credibility will see us through, and then we know that there had been no scandals, there had been no um, body who would say there's no merit to what the African Film Award organizers have put together. Initially, it was called the Afro Hollywood.
Mm.
Afro, there identifying with Africans
Yeah.
as they refer to in the US. But as we had the first few editions, we then realized that it sound a misrepresentation. From when the industry became popularly known as Nollywood, quite a number of the practitioners were approaching us, wanting us to change it to Afro Nollywood. In
Mm.
fact, some of our colleagues in the media were, in fact, pushing the name Afro Nollywood, and we were saying, no,
Mhm.
this award institution is going to grow beyond just Nollywood, because we've started recognizing those from Ghana, those from South
Yeah.
Africa, those from Kenya, and few other African countries at those initial stages. So we then said we'll actually have to rechristen and call it the African Film Awards.
It was
And
interesting because the last one, I think there was an award going out for, I think it was an Egyptian movie, North African movie, I'm sure of.
yeah, yeah, the best short film for the year 2019 was won by, yes, an Egyptian director. Yes,
Yes. Okay.
Norman. Yeah.
I know you've mentioned the corporate world, the support they've been giving to you. And it got me thinking, as far as I'm concerned, you are an ambassador, not just of Nigeria, but of Africa in the UK because of what you're doing, because you're showcasing not just Nigeria, you started with Nigeria, not now with Nigeria, but with Africans. You're showcasing Nigerians, you're showcasing Africans to the UK public. Have you had any support at all from, and I know we've got the National Orientation Agency in Nigeria, we've got the Ministry of Culture and Information in Nigeria. Of course, we also got the Nigerian Night Commission, who should be an encompassing organization looking after the welfare of Nigerians and, and their interests in different countries. So have you got support at all and recognition, so to say, from these agencies, governmental agencies at all?
All right. Let me say that what we call support, it's not financial. We've never
Mm.
had financial support. Now, when we say support, from the initial stage, from 1996, we were able to identify that if what we want to do, it's going to be celebrating beyond just a film, celebrating the arts and culture of British Africans or African people and helping to shape um, the cultural understanding of the children that British Africans are raising here.
mm,
We needed the Ministry of Culture, the Ministry of Art, the Arts and Culture, the Ministry of Information, the Nigerian Embassy to be carried along. So from year one, 1996, we went into collaboration. We wrote a letter asking the Information Department of the Nigerian High Commission to come on board along what side what we were doing. And from that year on, even where we've had several changes in the ministers for information, we had changes to the ambassador, the high commissioners in Nigerian High Commission. We've had each new ambassador endorsing the African Film Awards. So we've enjoyed tremendous support, diplomatic support from the Nigerian High Commission because they were able to identify from day one that what we're doing or is still adding value to the country as a whole. We've had some other states governments, the Kano State, the Osun State, Lagos State at some point, given support to what we're doing. The Film Institute in Jos giving support over the years. For the last 23 years, we've found ourselves right into most of these agencies you mentioned. But because there's that lack of continuity, you find out that the tourism agency, for instance, the director general there supported us for about 3 years. But when immediately moved on and we have a new one, it took time and we were not able to get that same kind of support. So we've enjoyed that diplomatic or what you call easing the way, helping to uh, provide access to some few things that we need at one point or the other from the agencies you mentioned.
and I know you've got um um an actress at home who is obviously a pillar of support, who is also very known face. And I'm actually also looking forward to bringing her to the show one day to talk about the acting industry. I then wonder, okay, that are you also looking into probably one day doing a super mega blockbuster of a film that we will, with all your experience of knowing the in and outs of Nigerian, not just Nigerian film industry, general film industry, are we looking forward to one day African voice production, movie production?
You rightly said it. We've been blessed. The organization has been blessed with uh, my wife, who is a veteran, who's been a pillar of support.
Yeah,
She is a veteran of the film industry. Of course, she not too long ago celebrated 40 years on stage, and she's still acting. One of her recent films is still showing on Netflix, I think, also on Channel 4, Gone Too Far. And of course, she's graced several stages on the West End.
yeah.
She's still very active. She started with the Nollywood crew at the early stage with Tulu Anile, Babawande, and Tunde
Yeah.
Kilani collaboration.
Mhm.
So she played active one there. She was in Mirror in the Sun. She was in the General Hospital. She was in Lola Panica Day TV series those days before relocating to the UK.
Mhm.
Um, yes, she's been working on something that is still cooking. That is
Okay,
going to be
good.
it's going to be our own production
Good.
to the film industry. But having said that, we've shot one or two other films in the past, which is
Yes.
ours. Um, it did not see the light of the day yet. Let me put it that way. We did them and we left them in the coolers for one or two reasons. But a blockbuster will be coming very soon.
Very good. That's very good. I'm actually looking forward to talking to your wife at some point. We'll obviously we'll be talking about that at a later
Yeah,
date.
and her stage name for those who may want to know
Uh,
that Golden John,
go
Golden John,
obviously, yeah.
Golden John. Yeah,
Go to
okay.
John. Yes.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
Golden Abiola now. Okay.
I know, because quite a lot of people back in the days still remember that name, Golden
Yeah,
John, and
yeah.
yeah, would definitely be getting out on the show one of these days to talk about the film industries in the UK and obviously in Nigeria, and look back to yesteryears. Prince Abiola, before you leave, I would just want to um, obviously give you our best regards. I mean, what you're doing, it's marvelous. I mean, I get amazed every time I come to your African Film Award. I really get amazed the caliber of people you bring in. You know, the actors, the actresses, wonderful. And if you do not know, one of the reasons I'm just going to let you know this now. One of the reasons I actually watch Yoruba films. You're actually one of the chief reasons I watch Yoruba films. You know, it's I know it's a bit it used to be a bit of minus in my life because obviously my origin. But I must say, you are actually one of those who decided. I mean, who made me now sit down and watch Yoruba films. Thank you for that. Thank you for obviously showcasing the talents in Nigeria, in Africa, and hopefully we get you on again on the show. This time we obviously start early, and we'll also talk more about Nollywood and the film industry. So thank you again for joining us today, Prince Mike Abiola.
Thank you for inviting me, and I wish you best of luck with the way show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Uncle
you
Mike.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too. Oh,
thank you.
That was Prince Mike Abiola talking about African voice and African film industry, which is, I wish we had more time, honestly, to talk more about this, everything that's going on in African industry. But definitely we will be doing that at a later date. Yomi, I'm sure you watched and listened to that. What was your take on the not too long session with Prince Abiola? Now we've got problems with the audio, Yomi, with your audio.
Yeah, sorry. Oh, I was just saying that was really good because I was backstage listening and it was quite insightful, especially the part where the Prince was talking about the ease of doing business in Nigeria, and I think, wow, that is something. You know, it's quite hard to run a media business in Nigeria. Even if you decide to, toe the line of the government of the day, you still have problems as well. You know, it's quite hard.
It is.
So, but it was quite good. I really enjoyed that session. And about the film festival also, I think it was a good idea that some of the people who pioneered some of this, because I know after that they came up with Nollywood Movies Awards and other awards are coming up, So, and then you have the Roku and TV and the rest, I think people like that should be celebrated more, and we actually should put this also into the history of the film industry in Nigeria and how we've been able to push it across the ocean to the other part of the world. I mean, now you have our films popping up every day on Netflix, and Mo Abudu just signed Wale Soyinka, Death of the King, Osman, and Olashulayin, the Baba Shegi's wife, to be made into a series and a film. That is great. And you have all these things coming up now, but people like Prince bringing up these awards actually set the pace and, build the foundation for what all these guys are now reaping today. So we should celebrate them more.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I said, he's not just a Nigerian ambassador; he's an African ambassador for helping to showcase the talents, the culture and obviously the entertainment industry of Nigeria. We don't always have to hear negative stuff about Nigeria or Africa. I mean, there's so many beautiful things to celebrate about Africa, and one of those is entertainment and indeed the film industry.
Yeah, I can say this guy is up now, Wole. So I
Okay,
think
so yeah, we'll be joined shortly now by our next guest, Wole Opatola. Wole Opatola is an award-winning, much-traveled sports journalist from Nigeria. Wole, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining this show.
Thank you very much for having me.
How are you, Wole? It's been a while.
Yeah, fine, Wole. Good to see you again. It's been such
yeah, it's good to have you as well. It's good
yeah,
to see your face.
that's
Yeah,
right. Thank you very
yeah,
I've been
much for
watching
having
a
me on the
couple of
show.
stuff you've been up to. This is you at Arsenal,
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
and then this is you and late Stephen Keshi, the coach for
Yeah.
Nigeria.
Oh,
So
that's right. Oh, that's
yeah,
right. Yeah.
this is actually quite a nice picture. It's always,
Mm.
you know, when you see the big boss again. And then
Mm.
this is Joe with Okocha. So Wale has been everywhere. World Cup, African Champions, African Nations Cup,
The Olympics.
Olympics, and the rest. So
He's been everywhere. Wole, let me start
Yeah,
this show. Recently, we celebrated the fourth anniversary of the death of the big boss. That's Stephen
that's
Keshi,
right. Yeah, that's right.
the late Super Eagles coach. I know you were close to the big boss,
Yeah, that's
and
right.
you recently did something on the big boss. It caught my attention, and I felt, you know, the way the way the way we treat our our heroes in Nigeria and New Orleans, obviously, it's a bit sad. I mean, can you tell us about what happened, what you did, and when you visited the family?
Oh, basically, I went back to where he was buried. Stephen Keshi was buried in Ila, in Delta State, Nigeria. Well, actually, he was going to be buried in Benin City, which was where he grew up. You know that he played for NNB, that's the New Nigerian Bank in
Yeah.
Benin City here. He met his wife here in Benin City, Kate. Of course, he built a house here in Benin City, and he died here in Benin City, of which I was even with him a day before he died, because we attend the same gym club, and we were there in the morning, of course, for our usual fitness and all, but when death will come, it will come, So
Yeah.
Stephen Keshi died 4 years ago
Mm.
here in Benin City, and I just went back to where he was buried in Ila, Delta State, because he was an high chief, in Ila, Benin City, in Ila, Delta State. So they said that he cannot be buried outside of Delta. So eventually he was buried in Ila. And I went back there, and it was unbelievable what I saw. I mean,
Wow.
I saw a grave that was already depreciating.
Wow.
I saw one that wasn't quite befitting of who he was all through his lifetime, for the contributions towards the game,
Mm.
for all he did for sports, for football in particular, in Nigeria and indeed Africa, and his contributions to the sports, all over. That didn't look like a befitting burial ground, and that's exactly what I had to bring back to the mainstream media for everybody to see.
When I saw that, I was really taken aback, and I was like,
Mm.
you
Yeah,
know, so I had to look for you, and obviously,
yeah,
practically dragged you to the show today to talk
that's
about
right.
it.
Yeah, that's right.
So I mean, it's so shameful because Stephen Keshi, the late Stephen
Yeah,
Keshi,
that's right.
was not just a football man. He was a pioneer.
Yes,
He
yes,
more
that's right.
like opened the door to foreign what we now know as foreign based, players.
That's right.
I remember
Yeah,
when he
that's
went
right.
to Ivory Coast first before Belgium, and then from Belgium
That's
all
right.
the way and in his career. It was not just I saw him as a huge superhuman. He was, he had this influence about it. Carried it on the pitch of play. Even when he was a coach, he was a national manager of the Super Eagles. He carried it in himself, and it was so
That's right.
smart. And even before that time, before you made an expose on his grave, we had some
That's right.
news coming from some football players, former Super Eagles football players, saying about
Yes.
bribery scandal, which I felt was upsetting. What was your take on that?
Oh yes, you see that's one aspect of the game that there's nothing we can do about it, because once you have decided to become a coach, you must expect that these things will happen. When you look at Nwankwo Kanu actually decided that he was never going to go into coaching because he didn't have the kind of mind, for such things, So basically, when you sign up to become a coach, you must be ready to be dragged. You must be ready to receive insults. You must be ready to, I mean, for example, Amadou Shaibu, he got to a stage, Amadou Shaibu was even sad because of what his wife said. When his wife told the minister, the then sports minister, Jim Obodo, that yes, if Nigeria was going to get a foreign technical advisor, for the national team, then we also should get a foreign sports minister. And eventually, yes, Amadou Shaibu was sad, because of the comments of his wife. So the same thing is playing out now with Stephen Keshi. I'm not surprised, that some players are coming out, but we also need to know that so far nobody has actually indicted Stephen Keshi. What they have come out to say was that some people were demanding for bribes. Some people were demanding to be settled before they could get a place on the World Cup squad. So nobody has categorically said that Stephen Keshi himself demanded for bribe, from them to be included in the team. So what we have so far are just insinuations, and nobody has been able to come out and say yes, this was the person who asked for money. And we must know that in football administration, a lot of things are involved. A lot of people are also involved. We are talking about members of the camp, about backroom staff. We are talking about even sometimes the press, who tend to masquerade as being part of the team. So anybody could contact anybody and ask for bribe. Anybody could contact anybody and ask for money. And for all I care, it could also be a scam. It could be some people somewhere, masquerading to be somebody influential in the team and asking to be paid. And then when you pay, you still wouldn't be on the list. This exactly was what happened when a player who is presently based in Belgium also came out to say that when he was asked to pay $10,000 to get on the World Cup plane, he paid, and instead his name also didn't come out. So he asked, and he said that someone else also paid $10,000, and only one person had to be on the plane going to the World Cup. We are sorry, that person is more influential than you are. So these things do happen in football.
Now, it's so shame that that this matter will keep playing this matter over and over again. Since my years of writing sports as a sports writer in Nigeria, right from when I started back years ago, we learnt about this. I was a sports writer. I learnt about this. I knew about this. I left Nigerian sports writing. It's still there. Why is this? Why is this always happening, Wole? What do you think would be the solution to it when we get the right people, when after the right people with the right mentality to run sports and manage sports in Nigeria? When would that be that time?
Oh, well, yes, if I got you right, we are talking about the sports administration in Nigeria right now.
Generally, yeah.
Exactly. You see, the major problem as it is that the politics is still being played. We are talking about money politics, playing out, deciding who gets to head this particular association, who gets to run this particular football association or sporting association in Nigeria. People with financial muscle, tend to outmuscle others, despite the fact that those ones might really be more qualified, more experienced, more suitable. You just can't rule out the fact that the electorates will also be influenced by money when they eventually go out there to vote. So what do you expect? The right people don't get voted in because they do not have that financial muscle, to bamboozle their way into this seat of power. You can imagine that in football in Nigeria today, you and I know those who really have the love of the game at heart, those who really are interested in the game moving forward in the country. But you know that it's very difficult for them to get there because they do not have that financial backing or financial muscle. So what do you expect? You expect that yes, they will only come out and campaign and appeal to the electorates, to vote them in. But at the end of the day, it is those who bring money to the table on the day of the elections that get elected. So that's where the problem lies. The right people aren't getting to those right positions as far as sports is concerned in the country.
Well, yeah, I want to bring you back locally to Nigerian football, specifically Nigerian football, really, and the local league itself, as it is. Obviously, there are no football matches at the moment because of COVID-19 coronavirus. Um, what's the improvement like in the local league compared to the past 5 years and the past, with regards to playing quality, regarding players' welfare, the management of the game itself, and the pitches and the facilities? Has that been a tremendous improvement?
Yes, Wale, thank you very much. The Nigerian League, at a point, I think about 5 years ago or something, got voted as the best league in the whole of Africa, which, as at that time, was a giant leap. Of course, we're talking about those days of Chief Jackson Oyuku Obaseki, who is also late now. The Nigerian League rose to the number one in Africa. Unfortunately, right now, things are no longer the way they used to be. A lot has changed. Sometimes you want to cut them some slack because the economy is no longer what it used to be. I'll give you an example. For example, the station with the broadcast rights, they had to pull out at a point some 2-3 years ago. They had to pull out because it was no longer commercially viable, to continue to broadcast the league on satellite stations. So, and that did a lot of setback on the league. That had a lot of setbacks because the league was enjoying massive followership all over Africa. The league was being followed not only in the region but also outside of the region. And you know that when you have such a large followership, you command sponsorship. You have a lot of companies coming on board to invest in a league because they are also going to make their own money from it. Unfortunately, when the broadcast company pulled out, it set the league backwards. Seriously, it seriously set the league backwards, and as it is now, nobody is seeing the league on television. Nobody is seeing the league anywhere. So you can imagine that all you hear is that a league match is being played in Benin City, a league match is being played in Jos, a league match is being played in Kano, and nobody is saying it. It's like yes, it's like walking in the shadows. So eventually, the league as it is right now, it's a shadow of itself. It's like we're back to those dark ages, because when you are doing something and nobody is saying it, then you can even tell people that it's black when it's white, or tell them it's white when it's actually black. So that's the situation of things right now as regards the league. And you shouldn't be surprised that just about 2 years ago or something, Nigeria actually lost a spot, because we like every other top nation of Africa, we were given two slots for the CAF Champions League and the CAF Confederations Cup, but we lost one of the slots, because we weren't doing well on the continent anymore. But for the exploits of Eyimba Football Club, the slot has now been restored. Yet we are not still doing very, very well. I mean, Eyimba were the only team, as far as Nigerian League is concerned, to have won the CAF Champions League. And we are talking about some 17, 16 years ago when they won it back to back. And since then, no other team has been able to achieve anything on the continent, unlike what we used to have in the past. Those days when Shooting Stars Football Club of Ibadan, when they won the Cup Winners' Cup, and then a year later, Rangers Football Club of Enugu also did same by winning the Cup Winners' Cup, and Shooting Stars Football Club of Ibadan again won the Abiola CAF Cup, in '92, the inaugural edition. And we've had other clubs that have also gone on to win the regional Waffle Cup, and even at a time when we were not winning, we were still getting to the final. I mean, look at those days when Shooting Stars lost in the CAF Champions League final to Zamalek, in 1996, and we've also had other near misses, but these days, we even hardly get to qualify for the group stages of those competitions, and you can't even talk about the quarterfinals or the semifinals where you are not even making the group stages. The standard is the standard is no longer what it used to be. And it's actually also rubbing off on the national team. That those days we used to have a national team made up of the home-based and the foreign-based players. We could imagine those days that we had Clemens Westerhoff. We had two teams, the home-based Super Eagles team and the foreign-based Super Eagles team, and they all come together and fight for jerseys. And on match days, nobody's sure of who is playing. I mean, from the home team, you usually will have Ajibade Babalade, Isaac Semitoje, Precious Moye.
I remember Finidi George back in the days when he was with Rovers and Mokachi, the goal.
Football Club of Record, straight to the IAS first 11. The same IAS team, that had the likes of Danny Blind, Clarence Seedorf, Patrick Kluivert, and all, So, but these days, you could even see that you can't even have a single foreign-based player in the team. I mean, Nigeria went to the World Cup with just one local-based player who was actually a reserve goalkeeper, perhaps the second choice or the third choice goalkeeper, exactly. And this was the same thing too when we went to the African Cup of Nations, So that says a lot about the standard of the league right now. The best legs.
Well, I'm sorry to cut you short. The issue now is we do have all these situations going on, like you mentioned. But then we still have quite a lot of football players scattered all over the world. I mean, they play one season. They probably play half a season in the local league. Some don't even play in the local league at all. And before you know it, they're probably in a team in Serbia, for example, in a team in Vietnam, Azerbaijan, or what have you, Because it's now... Back in the days when you mentioned the name of maybe George, Nwako Kano, they were playing for top teams. JJ Okocha at the time was probably the most expensive African player when he went to PSG. But now it's totally different. Is it because the foundation now locally is a bit shaky? Is that why we're having these issues now? We don't have, apart from Osimhen nowadays, I mean, we don't even have a player that can command up to that.
Oh, it's desperation, desperation both on the part of the footballer, the player, and also on the part of the agent. Unfortunately, now we have greedy agents, soccer, agents out there right now who wouldn't mind, selling a player, a young promising player from the Nigerian league, to Vietnam, to Kosovo, to Azerbaijan,
Wow.
the obscure leagues of Europe, and even Asia, Indonesia, Malaysia, and all. I mean, just because of their own courts, that the agents, of course, will also always get their own 20%, 10%, depending on how well they're able to negotiate. And they wouldn't even consider the player's future. We're talking about the future, the player's future, we're talking about the player's development. They won't consider that. All they will be after is how to make money, more money, and of course, more money for themselves. And sometimes also, I said desperation on the part of the players, because oftentimes you see that these players are not learned. They are not educated, and it's very easy to convince them to sign on anything, as long as they are able to see the dollar sign or the euro sign or the pound sterling sign beside, behind, or in front of it. You understand? Not even minding how many zeros are involved, or not even minding the length of
The
the
contract.
contract.
Yeah.
I mean, you remember sometime in the early 90s when Gaba Yaro was about to be sold to slavery in Germany,
Germany, yeah.
but for the, intervention of the FF, the Football Federation, that refused, to release the player's license. Ahmed, as at that time, Ahmed Gaba Yaro, who was very, very hot, could have been sold into slavery, just after playing for Nigeria in the Carlsberg Cup in Iran, So, and we have had cases like that, some cases like that since then. And we've had to enlist the support of the federal government in repatriating such players back from where they've been sold to. You cannot even imagine that sometimes these players get sold to other African countries in slave deals. We have had situations in which we've repatriated players from Egypt, from Tunisia, from Algeria, and all, simply because of the greediness of the agents and the lack of know-how on the part of the footballer. So it's a tragic situation that young footballers, and you see, sometimes too, you don't really want to lay the blames on their doorsteps 100%. You must have heard a situation whereby a Nigerian player died earlier this year, simply because he collapsed on the pitch and the ambulance just wouldn't start, at a time when the ambulance was needed to take the player to the hospital. The ambulance just wouldn't start, and they had to start pushing the ambulance, and all, yet it just wouldn't start. And eventually, the player had to be conveyed in a vehicle that belonged to the deputy governor or something, or the governor who came to watch the game. But alas, it was already too late, So when you look at some of the hazards that these players face when playing in the Nigerian league, sometimes you just want to call them some slack, as regards why they are so desperate to get out. Some, you can't even imagine that some teams still travel overnight. They still travel throughout the night, to get from their location to the next location where they are playing. You can imagine a team based in Lagos or Ibadan, traveling overnight to go play in Kano, to go play in Maiduguri, and these players, after suffering the jet lag and all, they still have to go play the game and then make a return journey exactly the same way they came. You can imagine a situation whereby players still can't exchange jerseys after each games because the jerseys are limited. And they have been warned that in case you change, it means that you will not be playing anymore. Because you have already changed your jersey, and you can imagine a situation whereby they still do wash and wear. You remember what we do when we were growing up, wash and wear. You wear your jersey, and after the game, you wash it for you to use it again the following day. So these things still happen in the Nigerian league. Sometimes these players get owed a backlog of salaries, and they have to continue to. In fact, we've seen situations whereby players have gone on protest, to government houses, appealing to the government to come to their rescue simply because their sign-on fees, their salaries, bonuses have been unpaid. So sometimes so these factors, which
Wow,
are
well,
just
sorry to
unavoidable.
cut you short, but
Yes,
the
yeah.
picture you painted, man,
Mm,
I don't know, man. It's
yeah,
depressing. I feel
yeah.
like I don't even know what to do right now. My hair's ah.
Mm,
I
So
mean,
yeah,
how could
and
you expect
yes,
anyone to
mm,
that's,
function in that system?
that's
yes,
the reasons why. That's the reason. That probably the main reason why. Just like Wally said, why the
yes,
players would now once they see the dollar sign and they see, oh, you're signing for a club in whatever country. Example in
mm-hmm,
Kosovo, Albania, they jump at it
mm-hmm,
because obviously they will think, all right, if I get this kind of money, if I change it, I mean, it's going to give me an X amount in Nigerian currency.
yeah,
So
Wow.
they probably will be like, oh yeah, yeah, let me go. Obviously there'll be a changing status or what have you if they do that. So it's a shame because I mean we've talked about this for a long time.
I
I
mean,
mean,
it's
keep
it's
talking
just
about
as if you're running
you know,
a secondary school inter sport league or something.
oh
I mean,
yeah. I mean,
when you visited many countries around
that's
the world,
right.
you watch football
Yes,
matches around. I mean, I'm
that's
sure
right.
I'm sure you've not come across anything like that before.
No, honestly speaking, as ridiculous as it sounds, that's exactly the situation back home, and these are things that we have some social organizations, some individuals fighting, these things we are just trying to see how we can eradicate them, how we can ensure a turnaround, you understand, so that we can truly say we are running a professional football league. We are not just paying lip service. We're not just saying it is the Premier League, whereas there has been no difference since the days of the amateur league. I mean, you should be able. I'm telling you, you should be able to run onto the pitch there, knowing that you already have a life insurance policy that the club has already undertaken on your behalf. You should be running onto the pitch knowing yet that immediately after the game, you are not going to go cap in hands begging the
Yeah.
administrator for your winning bonus, your traveling bonus, or that your salary will be owed, and you have to run into a series of debts before you get your salary, and at the end of the day, you are left with nothing. So I
So,
mean,
Wale, who is supposed to
yeah.
put all this thing in place? Is it
Mm.
the NFF or the MPFL,
Okay,
led
right.
by Sheo Diko?
Yes, yes, because we have what we call the LMC, the League Management Company, League Management Committee, and it's their job, you understand, to regulate the league. It's just like when you talk about the PSL, in South Africa, you understand.
Yes.
You look, and oh yes, that even reminds me. I also need to let you know that it has gone to the extent that even teams that go on to play in the FA Cup and play to the final and win, they don't even get their prize money anymore.
Oh
You
boy.
know,
Ah,
yes, yeah, it's unfortunate that Niger Tornadoes, a team that played to the final of the Nigerian FA Cup just a year ago, and of course they have been relegated as at now, but they still play to the final of the FA Cup. They are yet to get their prize money. And yes, why they are dragging the FF, the sponsors of the ITO, competition known as the ITO, ITO themselves have said they have already paid the money to the FF. So who is deceiving who and who is lying to who? I'm telling you,
So
who
we'll
is
have to set
refusing to
up
pay?
another
You
committee.
know.
We'll have to set up another committee,
Mm,
investigate this committee,
to look at the
and
matter,
yeah,
obviously
that's
right?
get,
right.
and obviously get
That's
to
right.
the root of the problem.
That's right. That's our way. That is our way.
Wow.
Oh my
Mm,
It's
God,
it's really depressing. I,
it
I
is
don't know.
depressing.
So,
It
mm.
is.
what do you think is the way forward now?
Well, like I've said earlier on, we need to have people who really have the love of the game coming on board to run the game. I mean, look at Wale. Remember those days, when we used to travel all the way from Lagos, to other parts of Nigeria to cover football games, to cover the club sides, to cover national team games, and all. This was because of the passion we had for the games, and because of the fact that we wanted to report the matches objectively and all. But the situation today, I can tell you that some journalists just decide not to move an inch from where they are unless it is one administrator who is calling on them to come or who is sponsoring their trip to come, cover the match or the matches, So we are talking about everybody now doing whatever they want to do, not for the goal of development, not for developmental goals, but for selfish reasons. And
Personal
until we are
gains, yeah.
exactly, so until we are able to do away with that, it is going to be very difficult for our football to move ahead. I had to cite the case of my own constituency, which is the journalism constituency, for you to know that this is a rot that is happening not only in the circle of the football administrators, not only in the circle of coaches, but in all sectors involving the journalists, the players, the coaches, the administrators, everybody. So the turnaround needs to start with everybody. We need to have a new mentality, to embrace a new approach towards the game. You understand, because of the passion that we have, not because of personal gains. Yes, I mean, there isn't anything bad in you also gaining
It's
from where you're
obvious that the
working.
rot is very deep,
Very, very deep.
And
Yes.
it's also obvious that we've not come up with the idea of turning this industry as a proper business, structured it as a proper business
That's right.
in Nigeria.
Yes, that's right.
And everything is
Yes,
still dependent
right.
on people getting money from government and just scrambling for that, rather than thinking of a long-term investment how to make this into a multi-million-dollar industry that everyone can benefit. From the woman who sells food outside the stadium to the person selling merchandise and clothes and jerseys, to the people watering the ground of the stadium, to the people managing the hotels where the players and the fans will stay. These are things like you look at a town like Manchester or Liverpool here. On a match day, I was looking at the losses they've made because of this COVID-19, and it's millions that have been lost simply because the matches are not, the games are suspended.
Yeah.
So this is a huge industry on its own, from the baker to the pubs. Everyone benefits, and we can't think out of the box. And everything in Nigeria is like eat as soon as it comes to your hand. Eat as soon as it comes to your hand. We're just basically eating the seeds and not thinking of the future, and we're not even thinking of the big part of it, the big picture.
I think the most worrisome thing that I actually picked up from what Wole has said today is the fact that our constituency, that's the sports journalism, not just sports journalism, like journalism as a whole itself, we should play the watchdog, the role of the watchdog.
Oh yeah,
are now in the rot. So I mean, who is going to watch this watchdog now? So we need to have we need sort of rethinking, redesigning of every sphere of life. I mean, if a sports journalist,
I remember those days, when I was at the Temple the News.
Yes.
And we used to go to Abiola to gather around and do stories. And there's this story that I did about the Nigeria Football Supporters Club. That got Uncle Ladepo very angry. I remember then they were looking for me all over the place. Some people wanted to beat me up. And, in those days, it was challenging. But also they respect the fact that you're doing your job.
Yeah.
But it seems that people don't even want to do this job anymore. They just kind of succumb to that, and it's all about,
But you see,
settling
yeah,
themselves.
I love what you just made mention about just now, which is the Nigerian Football Supporters Club. I don't know if you are aware, but even that now has been factionalized. You know,
Wow.
yes, they used to be just one body
Yes.
that had Ralph Ladipo as the head. But now we have about 4 or 5 factions.
Oh my
Of the
God.
same Nigerian Football Supporters Club. We have the NFSC, which is the Nigerian Football Supporters Club.
Yeah.
But surprisingly, we also now have the Super Eagles Supporters Club. We now have the authentic Nigeria Football Supporters Club.
So which
Then
one is
we
now? Which one is under Dr. Ladipo?
then we also have the Eagle, supporters club. Dr. Ralph Ladipo, is now the President General of the Nigerian Football Supporters Club.
Oh, that's the original
So
one. Yes.
I think that that is the
But not the
one that we
authentic
are
one.
used to.
It's the
Yeah,
original one, but
exactly.
not the authentic one.
Exactly. Because we now have another one that is having
Authentic.
authentic before their own name. So and then we have the Super Eagles Supporters Club. And so I mean, you just get to a venue where the Nigerian national team is playing, and you see
It's
Different
chaos.
different
shades. Different
factions,
shades.
playing exactly different shades of green this time around, different shades of green,
It's
and you see
chaos.
that, yeah, exactly, it becomes chaotic, because some are singing Oshe, 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 Oshe Baba,
And
and the
some are
others are,
playing.
singing
Also,
exactly,
Wale,
yeah.
just a minute. There's something also I
Mm.
wanted to ask you.
Mhm.
I saw on Vimeo you did a video about a player called Ifeanyi Anaimena.
And I mean, yes,
Can you tell us the backstory to that?
Oh yes. You see, what I do, is like, because I have basically I pride myself as having the best library, as far as
Okay.
football is concerned in this country, because I have the best visuals,
Yeah.
talking about videos of matches, that dates back to the 80s, and the
Wow.
90s to the present. So what I do is, I just sit down and I make compilations on footballers, and sort of documentaries on these footballers, and I release them to the social media. So I have got quite a number of documentaries on players, Nigerian players, on YouTube, on Vimeo,
Yeah.
which I also, send across to other social media platforms like the Twitter and all.
In
It's
fact,
like,
before you
yeah,
continue, just hold the
yeah.
thought now. I would like you to watch this first, then you can talk about
Okay,
it.
okay.
to the business at home, but not.
Okay.
So, the way you are digging, you soon discover crude oil, over there. I mean, yeah, because I wasn't even aware you were coming up with this,
We're just doing some background for the show.
That's right,
And then I was looking at some of the work you've done recently. Yeah. So now what I want to ask you is, did you shoot that yourself?
Yeah, exactly. I go to
from the stands.
Yes, I go to league venues, armed with my own cameras, and I do all this filming, and all. And I come back, I sit down, and then I put them together for people out there, because like I told you, the Nigerian League is no longer on television, so nobody is saying anything, nobody is saying nothing. So this is just what we do personally on our own, so that's our own contribution to the game, and that particular player, Ifeanyi Namina, he is perhaps the hottest cake in Nigerian football right now. He has been player of the season in the last 2 years in the Nigerian League, a formidable central defender he is. The current captain of Enyimba Football Club, Baba, and of course, that they are the defending Nigerian Premier League champions, and he's one player who I think has all it takes now to play in the Nigerian national team. Luckily for him, he's been enjoying some invitation to the national team in recent times. He was still a part of the national team set up earlier this year before the COVID-19 pandemic, and as it is now, I think some foreign clubs are already snooping around, trying to see how they can get to sign him to go play abroad, because his contract is even going to expire at the end of this present season, and he has decided not to renew it. Very experienced player who's played in the CAF Champions
from
League.
that short clips, actually, you can see that it's quite.
I was just going to
quite good.
Yes, yeah. He has played in the CAF Champions League. He has played in the CAF Confederations Cup, and currently he has enjoyed about 5 Super Eagles caps. And he's one player who's going to go places definitely, because we're looking at
It's good you brought this up, because players like this without experience, and that was what I was trying to get through that time. But when you have seniors have got experience of playing in the local league for a season or two, and I've got experience of playing in CAF Champions League and CAF
Confederations Cup
and Confederations, they have tested what it means to play in other stadiums, foreign countries. Abby in Africa, they now have that experience. So when they go outside the shores of Africa, they've got a little bit of experience having played outside Nigeria. So what you've done is very commendable, because at the end of the day, when this guy comes up now and starts playing for a big team in Europe, everyone will start saying, "Oh, where did he come from? Where did he come from?" Then they're able to look back to what you've done for this guy to see the beginning. Because another thing I've noticed,
I'm even surprised that Genatra have not introduced this kind of players into the team.
No, but actually, to be fair on him, he invited him for the last qualifiers, that we played in Nigeria, and the one we played at away, he was a part of the team, though he didn't get to play, but at least, you have to start from somewhere, but he was invited, and, like yesterday, I just posted another video about another striker, Razak Adegbite, on YouTube, a fantastic striker, and I've done quite. I mean, look, even abroad, Taiwo Awoni, I was in Belgium, 2 years ago. I
remember you posted that you got injured today.
Yeah, yes, I was there at the Europa game between Ghent and Bordeaux, Europa game in 2018 in Belgium, I did some filming, and I returned, I put some things together, and showed that, this is what Nigerian players are doing abroad, and like you said, yes, Taiwo Awoni, got injured today. It looks scary. It looks very, very scary. He suffered concussion. That's right. He concussed, right there on the pitch, and he had to be taken to the hospital, and what we are hearing is that he's doing fine now. He had a collision. He had a collision with he was playing for Mainz in the German Bundesliga,
I think
and he
match was
had
against Augsburg today.
Augsburg, and coincidentally, the collision was against another player of Nigerian origin, Felix Udokai, or his, he was already played for Germany at the U21 level, although there are talks about bringing him now to the mainstream Super Eagles, and Augsburg also has another Nigerian player,
the left back, actually.
That's Udoka is the left back. Augsburg, they also have another player who is a winger, Saren Bazi, who scored.
Bazi, I've heard of that
who
guy as
scored
well.
2 weeks ago.
That one's like, has that one played for the Olympic team?
No, he hasn't. When Sonny Olise was in charge, he got a call up, to the team when we played a friendly game in Belgium. We're actually supposed to play 2 friendly matches in Belgium. One got cancelled, but we played one, but he got injured and he was on the sidelines all through the game. So he already has been invited to the national team, though he's yet to play. That's Sarere Bazi, but they're looking at bringing in Felix Udokai, and the one who got injured today, Taiwo Awoni already has some caps under his belt already. Coincidentally, this is happening at a time when I think he's about getting his groove in the German league. Because,
in the German league,
he got to score in May. That was last month. For Mainz, when he played a 2-2 draw with FC Cologne, and that was his first goal in the German Bundesliga this season. That was his 7th game, but his first goal. He's not been having it so rosy since his return to the German Bundesliga. He's not a stranger to the German Bundesliga. He once started for Eintracht Frankfurt, when he was on loan from Liverpool. He's still on loan, though. He's owned by Liverpool.
Yeah, he's still a Liverpool player, right?
I think news coming out of Liverpool about a few hours ago is that they are actually arranging contract talks between each other to have him sign another season with Mainz, probably on loan, or I don't know, with aim to probably him signing permanently with the club in Germany. But
it will eventually happen. It will eventually happen. I know that Kero in this situation with Chelsea Football Club at the time, before he finally signed a permanent deal just last season with his present Spanish club. I know that Mwakali Kelechi was also in this same situation too with Arsenal before he finally signed for Wesker, at the start of this season. So I know that, sometime pretty soon, Taiwo Awoni will get to sign for a club permanently, because
I think
it's
he
not
just
easy.
need a club where he can settle in and start getting himself.
Exactly.
Personally, I don't know why they all go to all these big clubs at the beginning of their career. I think the players who have gone to the small clubs, they've actually done well, and they've been able to make the transition.
Well, you also have to look at the fact that some of the problems that they encounter is this issue of work permits, particularly when they sign for British clubs.
That's what I'm saying, that they shouldn't be doing that at the first step. The first step should be to go to France and get the first 6 club. Get the Montpellier, get the Lille, start there. Showcase yourself. If you look at someone like Osaze, someone like Ipeba, all those players, they went to those teams and then they're able to transit to better teams. Even you see Enyama went to Israel, established himself, and when he came to France, he was already a settled international. He was an international player. He was a big player. So if those players go to Belgium and start playing for the Bruges, playing the Champions League, then they can move to the Premier League after that. And if they're going to Ajax, to PSV, and then they move to the Premier League. But when they come to Liverpool and they are packed for 3 years and they kind of go to 4 clubs on loan, they never settled, they wasted the key core years of their strength. That's the years when they just finished under 20, under 17. The first 3 years are very important in their maturity and their, progression as a player. So if they don't nick it at that time, most of them struggle through the rest of it.
Well, in as much as I want to believe or agree with you, there are sometimes few exceptions, because you have to look at the fact that Kelechi Iheanacho actually went straight to Manchester City, and he achieved wonders, with Manchester City, before moving over to
Leicester.
Leicester City. You get what I'm trying to say, and you
Yeah, but
also have to
when
look
he
at the
got to
fact that,
Leicester, he had a lot of
yeah,
problems. Now, the psychology of the game is
yes,
this. He
mhm,
went as a young person quickly to
to
City,
Manchester
right?
City,
He was in
yeah.
the under 23 development team, and he did very well
Yes,
there. And
yes.
the coach promoted him. Now,
Hmm.
if Pellegrini had not left, is it Pellegrini that was there then, yeah? Or Mancini?
Yes,
Yeah, it was
yes,
Pellegrini. If
yes.
the coach had not left, he would have progressed properly. But the problem with the big teams is you can't anticipate what will happen.
And it comes with a
Exactly,
lot of pressure.
So the coach left,
exactly.
It comes with a lot of
and then
pressure.
and Guardiola came, and he didn't like him. And when they
Yes.
threw him to Leicester, he kind of messed up his orientation. He was
Mm.
completely out of it. It took him 3 years or 2 years now to set 2 years. And I remember when he came to the World Cup in 2018, he was completely out of sorts.
It was just
So
out of
it was
sorts.
mental. Because if Kelechi had gone to Leicester first and had played with the Kante group, became a Premier League champion that season, then moved to Man City, he would have gotten more respect. And also confidence. Football is all about confidence. And psychology of the game is that when you get to a place where you think you are wanted, you want it, they want you, you do well. But for a young player who has gone to that high and all of a sudden just drop here, and you didn't know what's going on.
And I feel we also need to look at Wilfred Ndidi that went
Exactly.
from Belgium.
When he came from Belgium, they recognized him as a big player.
Leicester, and now every top team in England is looking for Ndidi.
Exactly.
Obviously because he has created a path for himself slowly from the Belgian league, which is obviously a small league, to Leicester. With all due respect, the top six team, won the league, but the top six team anyway. And now from there, he is now being looked at by all these, super.
If he goes to Liverpool or Man City tomorrow, he'll be a starter.
Yeah.
Well,
I think at the end of the day, you mean
the same thing like Kante as well. Look at Kante. He came from a Division 2 team, I think, in France.
At some point, I think it depends on where at that time any team that presented the best contract at that time. It could be. It could depend on that. The best contract at that time. And don't forget that again, we're looking at agents who obviously want whatever they want.
So basically, the agent should be looking more at the players' overall interest. So even if Man City was bringing 10 times the money, and you can see that this player, if he's settled in this small team for 2 years, he can earn 20 times the money. So why don't you let him stay there and then move later, rather than push him to a place offering 10 times the money, and then he ends up to a place where he's now earning 10 times less in 2-3 years.
I think Wole did mention that at the beginning of the show when he said something about agents and players. Players who they are get tempted by whatever circumstances they face, and obviously agents also will want to quickly make quick work on them. And so at the end of the day, it is what club brings X amount. And
money,
how quick you are at holding your pen and signing the dotted lines, So I think it's probably the story. Well, Taiwo Awuni, serious injuries today. Our prayers are with him. Hopefully he gets soon and stronger, because he's one nice guy. I've had occasions to have chats with him.
I actually like him though. I see him as a very
lovely guy,
cerebral, and rounded guy. And even in his career, he's not been the loudmouth. I hardly see him on social media,
He's not like that.
So I wish him all the best, really. So guys, let's round up. Wole, your last word for us.
Yeah, before we leave,
I mean, I didn't even know that it was gonna last this long, but it's like it shouldn't
Yeah,
end,
it's a free
Yeah,
show. We
that's right.
don't really have time slots. Sometimes it's
Mm,
an hour and a half. Sometimes it's 2 hours. But you've made that
mm,
day. I mean, it's been a very lovely program today. You've been a
yeah,
fantastic guest, and I'm sure Wale will agree with me that it's been a wonderful time. We've learned
Yeah,
quite a lot. I've been
yeah.
shocked so many times. Like but Ashagi would say, it shocked me. But
I mean, I only go in touch with Wale about a week now. When
exactly. Yeah,
I
yeah,
saw
yeah.
the
Yeah.
stuff about late the big boss,
Mm,
and I was like, oh my god, yeah, Wale needs to come to this show and talk about this. So Wale,
yeah,
thank you
exactly.
so much for
Thank you
coming.
very much for
I,
having me.
yeah, at
I've
the short
thoroughly enjoyed
time.
myself.
Thank you for your
I mean,
call.
yeah,
And we always call you. There's still a lot to talk about. We will call you
anytime.
one day, and we will have more time to talk about sports generally in Nigeria and in Africa.
Anytime, please, anytime. And of course, I just have to also appreciate those who listen to the show,
Mm.
those who come online, to check on the show and all. I mean, big ups to everybody. Without them, there couldn't have been you guys, and of course, there
Definitely.
yeah.
just wouldn't have been me coming on the show today. So, thank you to everybody out there, those watching, those listening, and to you guys in the studios. Mm.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thanks so
Wole.
much. Yeah.
Cheers,
Thank
guys.
you very
Cheers, cheers,
much.
cheers a lot.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
Mm.
So, Yomi, another show, another day, another show. So,
Yeah.
quite interesting. Today we had publishing, entertainment, Nollywood, and to cap it up, we had
Wow.
sports. Very
It's
interesting.
been great, man.
And before you say anything, Yomi, let me just say shout out to a few people that have been on our live comments today. Shout out to Sandra, who is always with us.
Also, Bumi,
Bumi Yomo, thank you so much for the comments.
Sami.
Sammy Emmanuel, thank you. Thank you for joining the show. Dion, lovely, good evening. Thank you for joining our show today. Brighton, if you guys don't know who Brighton is, let me just give you a quick secret. He's Mr. Sugarman, the guy that came in on the show, the musician, the award-winning musician that came on the show about
Great.
seconds ago.
Also, a regular is Sandra.
Thank you, Sandra, for joining. Regularly, you tune into the show. Loyal person. Thank you, everyone, for coming on the show. Like I said, during this show, at some point, Sam said, you've done very well. Thank you, Sammy.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you
so much. Keep
Thank
watching.
you.
Please tell your friends about this show. Tell your friends and family, and
Yeah.
subscribe to this show. This show is all about bringing in talents, bringing in achievers. We've had someone which achieved tremendously in
Every
the Black
Sunday, 8 p.m.
Yeah, in the Black community.
Join us,
At about 8 o'clock, we had Prince Mike Abiola, who's done so much. He's like an African ambassador.
I mean, today has been really great. From Prince Mike to Wole, it's been
Wole
splendid.
and Wole, the amazing Wole Opatola.
Been an amazing time.
Awards-winning sports journalist. And also, like I said, before the end of this month, we are having some giveaways. So tell your friend, tell a friend to tell a friend. Tell your family. We'll be giving out stuff. Keep watching, and you will see what we're giving out at some point. It's. I can't believe the time is flown like that.
Yeah, it is. So
it's 8 o'clock.
Anyway, what do we have next week, Wole?
We do have. You know what? I don't like telling people what we have.
Oh,
I like
great,
them just coming in.
Yeah, I forgot that.
Coming in. I'm probably following us on Instagram.
Let's keep that a secret. Yes,
a secret. Yeah. So so guys, just follow us on Instagram. It's the Way Show. So if you just type this on
Instagram. the.way.show.
Yeah. So the.way.show, and on YouTube, please subscribe.
It's the Way Show Weekly. Yeah.
Subscribe to our show. It's called The Way Show Weekly. Subscribe, like our show, turn on the notification, and tell people about us. We bring this to you every Sunday at 8 p.m. We bring people, diversity, diverse people that excel, people excelling, people with talent, And if you know anyone,
sport, entertainment,
yeah,
fashion,
industry,
music,
fashion,
movies,
music,
film.
you know, if you know anyone you
And
think
also
probably want
drop a
to talk to,
comment for whoever you like to see. We'll
exactly,
get
just
them on
let
the
us
show
know.
as well.
We'll run after that person. We'll
Yeah.
chase that person. You know, well, if we have to drag that person, we'll drag that person here to the show so you can see that person,
Yeah.
ask questions, whatever questions you want to ask that person. You know, it's the Way Show every Sunday, 8
Thank you
o'clock.
so much. Yeah.
Thank you
So,
so much.
all right. So, see you next week.
Yeah, and see you next week. And please be good. Have a lovely
Yeah.
week ahead for yourself.
Okay. Cheers. Bye.
Yes, all. Bye.